I'd just like to sort of put together a little bit of what I remember from 25 years ago when all this started. Claude made his flight around the world in 96. 96. And he got very emotionally carried away with having achieved this feat, like many of us do. And he decided to put together a book about other pilots that have flown around the world. And at that time, nobody really knew anything about anybody who'd done it. And he started researching the book and finding out, by whatever means he could, who else had flown around the world. And he got in contact, he made a trip to Europe. He was French, by the way, and lived in Australia. And he met up with Hans Gutmann in Vienna. And they sat down and discussed ways of finding out who else had made this trip. Originally, he was only looking for solo pilots, because that is what he had done, and Hans. But then it became just a major job trying to find out who else in the 20th century had flown around the world. And it was a long, hard slog. He got in touch with me in '99, I think, by email. And we started, all of us, getting in touch with anybody who we knew in whatever country to find out if they knew. And at that time, of course, there was very little published anywhere, only pioneer flights and wonderful books that they wrote flying around the world in the 30s, 40s, 50s. So it basically went from one pilot who knew about another one, and that's how eventually we managed to put together a sort of fairly tiny list compared to what we now have. And Hans had an idea that we could try to arrange a meeting of pilots who would then were able to invite. And they decided on Oshkosh 2000 as a very appropriate date and venue to have this first meeting. So they got in touch with the EAA, and we were invited to be there as part of a big feature. And that is really when it all started 25 years ago. So here we have, for those who don't know Claude, here he is on the left. This, I think, is a photo from a meeting in Australia, isn't that?
Yeah, correct.
And Hans, who unfortunately left us too soon. So let me just look at my notes. Oh yes, people sometimes wonder how this word Earthrounder came up, because obviously it's not really an English word, it's a made-up word. But it reportedly comes from, I'm outnumbered here by Germans, Weltumrunder, which was conveniently translated into Earthrounder, and it's kind of stuck. And now we say to people, I'm an Earthrounder, they say, what's that? How do you not know? That's where we are. So we started making this list of pilots that we knew, and it was kind of advertised on the EAA website. In fact, all the information we had was put into the EAA website. And after our wonderful event in Oshkosh, basically we asked permission to copy back all the information they very nicely catalogued on their website, and that was the start of our own website. But that first meeting was really very special, a very happy event. There were eight round-the-world aircraft that showed up, and we were parked in a very special place right at the beginning as you walk straight in. If you land, you come from the other way, but if you actually walk in, it was right there by the opening of Oshkosh. And it just absolutely snowballed. Just as a funny story, on our aircraft, which was this Saratoga, Brazilian Saratoga, we put some flags of all the 50 countries we'd landed at during our flight around the world. And so it was kind of a bit sort of Brazilian splash of colour on this aircraft. And I remember one old codger came up and said, "You haven't been to all those countries, have you?" And I said, "No, it's just a decoration," because I know he didn't want to believe it. Just slip in a quick thing. At our very first meeting, we were hosted at brunch by EAA, and there were about 50 Earthrounders at that time already, early on in our lives, and we had some very famous people, like Dick Rutan and Steve Fawcett. But I think they looked at this rowdy, drunken bunch and said, no. They've never shown up at any new Vincent's there. In those early days, most of us who'd flown around the world at that time was a completely different ball game of flying. It was waiting for telex replies, sending off telexes, asking the people on our behalf to send telexes as you're traveling around the world. If you couldn't plan in advance because, for example, flying in Africa, no one would reply. If you sent a telex saying, I'm coming in January 20, whatever it was, they just, well, they might not get here, they might crash, so we won't bother to reply. And we would find that we'd just go from country to country, and then they could see you close by, and then you get a response. So that was kind of different challenges than we have to these days. Let me just add here that the people who mainly helped putting that list together of the first pilots was Jorge Cornish, who unfortunately is not here with us today. He's been with Michelle and everybody in Uzbekistan. Bob Rees, don't know if anyone remembers him, Frank Hale, and Horst Ellenberger. Unfortunately, none of that list is here today. So the Earthrounders website, after we got all the information back from EAA, was basically and utterly Claude's baby. He put it all together from scratch. He meticulously has maintained it all these years. He's paid for it out of his own pocket because he's afraid that someone might try to invade it. So it's an incredible work of art. He's cross-checked all the references. You can go into solo or this twin, single engines, twin engines, whatever it is. I think a lot of people don't actually go fully into that, all those details, all those tables that he's put on there, but it's really been a huge amount of work that he's done over these years, and we're very grateful to that, and that is what has kept us together. So new flights that occur basically depend on people providing the information. In the old days we used to run after pilots, but now they've got to run after us. And he's really dedicated himself wholeheartedly to this cause, not only the website, but Earthrounders. It's become his complete baby. And so we're all children of Claude, in a way. Yes, in the beginning, this website was basically, he wanted it to be solo pilots, and then it kind of expanded. And in the end, just aircraft didn't count anymore. It had to be something a bit like a balloon or a gyrocopter, or something a bit more dramatic than just an aircraft, because everyone else had done just an aircraft. So we got home builds and all sorts of special things joining us. So at the end of the day, I'd like to say we are a pretty unique group in this whole world. For example, there are hundreds of people sailing around the world, a yacht. Everyone says, whenever I try, I'm going to sail around the world in a yacht. And so currently, they estimate there are 10,000 yachts in a single year doing long-distance sea trips. And they estimate, I don't know who counts this, that about 200 complete round-the-world trip per year. Well, that compares to Earthrounders, who in the 20th century averaged just 2 flights around the world. Since we all started in 2000, there's been quite a big increase. There's been, according to the website, 236 flights registered on our site till the end of the last year. So that's almost 10 flights a year, which is quite a huge increase from 2 to 10. But still, we're pretty unique compared to the ones who are just sitting there in the yacht. So I'd just like to say that there's no way more apt to describe all this experience of creation of Earthrounders, an expression which says, from humble beginnings come great things. And what Claude has helped keep going for the last 25 years is this amazing fraternity where we've all shared journeys and experiences, and we've all had different challenges, and nobody's better than anyone else because we've all done it in our own way. Many people just chasing a dream, a travel dream, many people chasing other challenges, of actually making it or breaking a record or whatever. We all have our own way of doing it. We've all been different routes to different places. And it's a fantastic experience to sit down over lunch or dinner and compare experiences that way. So since Oshkosh, just to list it off quickly, we've had a meeting in Austria, Australia, Mexico, South Africa, Brazil, USA, Russia, Papua New Guinea, China, and Switzerland. And here, luckily for us, we're in beautiful Kyrgyzstan, and a very, very special meeting room. We've never had a place like this before. So, thank you so much for inviting us. I'd just like to end by saying I didn't recount all Claude's tables of statistics, but just on a quick summary of what he himself had counted. Flights with crew, 318 against 143 solos. Gender of pilots, 431, you know who, and 32 ladies. Class of aircraft, many more. Single engines, 246, twins, 115, automobiles 26, helicopters 19, balloons 3, microlights 3. The most common brands of aircraft, sorry, not Mooney, Beechcraft, Pipers, Cessnas, Moonies. And by route, eastward, 307 compared to 88 westward and 9 over the pole. So that's us.